So there's a lot, it's even difficult to pick which one to even start off with because there's just interesting developments across board. But this particular headline is one that some of the Nigerians would take with a pinch of salt. The one that talks about the fact that no amount of coalition would oust the president in 2027. What's your take on that?
I don't differ much from that. And knowing the president in power, there must be a formidable coalition that can outstage President Bola Tinubu. I agree with that statement.
No amount of coalition that can oust him?
Well, there must be a serious coalition. Not the way I'm seeing it now, not the type I'm seeing now. The point is that, sadly enough, this country is drifting. My fear is that even when, because it boils down to election, the end point will be election.
Yeah.
How credible will the election be? If you can form all the coalition, and at the end of the day, the umpires will give you something that is not what should be. So that is my fear. And we've seen how the judiciary has been doing their job in the last few months or years. So even when you say, that's my fear really, there might be a formidable coalition. People may even line behind them and vote. How will it come out? That's my fear. I'm not saying that unless there's a coalition we'll be able to topple and influence what happened in the judiciary. I mean, that's actually my fear. Not that people will not line up and say, "Oh, we are suffering," or "Let us join their coalition," and vote for the coalition. But at the end of the day, how will it pan out? Let me put it that way.
But again, these are the same things that were said in 2014.
Yeah.
Before the coalition ousted the PDP. We had a coalition in 2014 where factions of different parties came together and then they formed APC that ousted.
We don't have too many Gulu Jonathans in this world.
What do you mean by that?
We do not have too
and
many
the
of them.
incumbent president is certainly not in his talk in any way.
They are the direct opposites.
He's a Jagaban for a reason.
Good. So that is, that some people are people who have skinned, people were almost killing Jonathan for doing what he did. You know what happened even when the results were being called? A minister almost, say it will not happen. He did it on his own, not without consulting anybody. It's a personal decision that he took. Not many Nigerians will do that. Not many Nigerians will do that.
No, I'm just thinking to myself, why do you think that a Jagaban cannot lose an election? You are getting us wrong. At least I haven't got on my side. I haven't got on my side. I mean,
he's talking about credibility of elections. If our elections are anything to go by, certainly it may work against him. But just coalition, Allah is saying that coalition will not work.
In this country, there was this former INEC commissioner in Cross River State, Igini. Barrister Igini, he came out before the election and said he was warning politicians, you people have not read the Electoral Act. You people have not read the Electoral Act. So many things are going to impact negatively the way you people are going. He especially mentioned, I mentioned it a few days ago, he especially mentioned that nobody who is contesting for 2 positions, like we remember that I said it before, the Senate president that we have today is not supposed to be in the Senate because he was contesting for the presidency. And when he lost, he went and grabbed the senatorial seat. It is unconstitutional. And he is there. The same thing with Lawan, the former Senate president. He is there. It is clearly, in fact, and the court declared them that they are not fit to until they go to the Supreme Court. And they rule that they are senators and they are in the Senate. So these are things that give me concern. Not if we are practicing constitutional democracy the way it should be practiced, I won't have any fear. If people come out and vote against somebody and the person loses, no problem. But not when there are clear indications that what is happening now is not according to the Constitution. So who told you that okay, who told that people may not vote for the coalition, and INEC will declare somebody else president, and the court will uphold it? How do you see it? Would the coalition now topple the judicial powers of the judiciary? That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not even looking at even if that the vote will go the other way around. But how will it be declared after the voting has been done? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. Now it makes sense. It's not even about the coalition or whoever emerges or whoever is
the process
that gets to.
That's it.
And good point, really.
All right. Moving on. Customs seized over ₦1 billion undeclared foreign currency. Okay, sorry. Undeclared foreign currency in Kano Airport. What are your thoughts on this law?
I don't have any thoughts. So.
This money does not belong to anybody.
That shows you what is happening in this country. The amount of and people are suffering. Some people find it difficult to eat, but don't be surprised that is from government coffers. Don't be surprised.
Of course.
Don't be surprised.
Of course. Who has $1.1 billion to spend
to forget in an airport?
I mean, there's something more about this particular headline. It doesn't add up. Undeclared intercepts. How did they intercept it? Is it that the money was moving and they stopped it? Because somebody must have that for every item that passes through the airport to anywhere, whether you're using cargo or whatever, there must be where it's coming from, who authorized it, who checked it in. So from that point, they should be able to tell.
It means it was not checked in now.
If money could be swallowed by some animals, you never can tell if money has suddenly developed legs.
He felt he was being caught and he dropped it somewhere. It's not. It could
it
have been declared now.
But that's a whole lot of money.
And it doesn't belong to the person who was carrying it. If it belonged to the person genuinely, he wouldn't leave it. Doesn't have the amount of money. It doesn't belong to the person. It's just a conduit. It was being used to move it out. That's what it is.
Actually. All right. To some other development, I don't know if you're following these tax reforms that the House of Reps have gotten into. I don't know if you've seen the proposal.
I have not seen the details of the proposal. Okay. The bit I saw is the 7.5, return the 7.5 of VAT.
Yes.
Really, my take is that it's good that they are not taking what was sent to them, hook, line, and sinker. Let there be dialogue, let there be collaboration, let there be, and I think there was a policy hearing on that. That is the way to go. Yes. So I believe that what they have come out with must be a hybrid of what was brought to them. I mean, it must be an improved version of what was brought, or at least has a participation aspect of what was brought to them. Now, there are people who have made inputs. I guess those inputs were factored into what the House eventually passed. They also talked about I heard about the military, their pay not being subjected to tax and so on and so forth. Maybe I think it's better than what was sent to them. But in principle, the tax reform bill is necessary because it's been there for a while. But then the components of it is what I don't have details of what are in it now. But I believe that the matter that it went to that processes means that we're having a better version of what was sent to them. Ideally, we should have a better version of what was sent to them because that's why they are there to represent our interest. They are our lawmakers. We voted them into the place, or assumably we voted them into the place.
Allegedly. Now, there's another story somewhat connected with this one because we are talking about this is a policy, right? Tinubu reforms saved us from bankruptcy. That's what the president told us. The likes of subsidy, fuel subsidy removal and the likes. Do you concur?
I think the statement was made by the Minister of Information.
Oh,
I guess yesterday.
Okay.
Media briefing.
Yes, when I said he was doing his job.
You said so. He's doing his job. He's the information minister, and his job is to inform us about government and then portray.
But it doesn't look like the people agree with this. Maybe economist, but the layman.
Like I said, he is doing his job as Minister of Information. His job is to blow the trumpet of the person who appointed him. You know that the person who appointed minister is still shouting and crying here and there. So those who appointed should justify their appointment by at least praising the person who appointed them. Definitely, like I said, that the reforms are necessary. There's no place you don't do reforms. Even in your family, you do reforms. You reform certain things. In your office, there are reforms from time to time. But then, what are the costs of the reform that you are putting in place? I've said those reforms are too harsh for people. Some of the reforms are terribly harsh on the people. So, and even going forward, they must still take another look at those reforms and how it is impacting on people. If you bring in a reform and companies close shop, there is unemployment. People, some country leave your country and go to other places to establish. You save the whatever from collapse. You did collapse before they took over. You did collapse before they took over. So the thing is that they are even now because when you come up with a policy, you must from time to time look at that policy. How is it playing? How is it impacting on people?
And then policies are subject to review.
That's what I'm saying. So if you just feel that policy is come out, it is working, whether people are crying, people are dying, what is the cost of what you are doing? There must be the cost implication of those reforms, and then cost benefit analysis before you can say it is working. I'm not saying it is not working. At least the price of fuel is dropping gradually, but that to me that is not a drop yet. That's what we're
50 naira there, 100 naira there.
When we're celebrating the Dangote coming on stream, we're thinking that by now we should buy fuel at 300 naira or 400 naira. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we bought fuel at 1.4 at some point. Today it's 8.30, 8.20.
That's why I bought at 250 at one point. I bought at 25 naira at one point. I bought at 400. They're all points.
Yeah, but, well, again, the minister saying that, look, given that we have, been saved from bankruptcy, might be true. Beyond the fact that he's doing his job. Before now, our debt to income ratio was so bad. We're talking about 97%. If we had continued on that trajectory, I'm not sure that by now, anyone will be giving us monies. We've borrowed from African Development Bank, we borrowed from IMF, we borrowed from World Bank, and some of these organizations look at what you are doing. There's no way that Nigeria would have been able to pay back. And the reasons why they're even giving us loans is because they've seen that they've done some reforms that would enable us to be able to pay back. So beyond him doing just his job,
I said the reforms are done everywhere. I'm not against reforms. I'm not saying there are aspects of reforms that could be tinkered with to reduce the pains of people. If you are doing reforms and people are dying every day, people are not going to bed hungry. How welfarist is that? Are there those reforms? That's the point I'm trying to make. But okay, our debt overhang is it higher or lower now?
Well, it's higher, but we have the ability to pay.
Good. So that's another point.
There's a difference. You could be in debt and have the ability to pay, and then be in debt and not even have a hope of paying because of what you are doing.
I have made my point on this matter. I've made my point. There are pains. Let us look at those pains, very painful aspects, and go. I'm not saying we should not do reforms. We are seeing the reforms. Anyway, let's go on.
Okay, on the issue of Obasanjo and the federal government, I don't know what you think about the coastal roads between Calabar and Lagos. So many persons says it's humongous, it's bogus, it's
again the reform we're talking about.
That's not a reform.
I'm coming. It's a reform project. Look at the country that we are in now. Is that a major priority for this country at this time? That's just a question. Is it a major? What is it? If we don't do it now, what will happen? The poor sector is not yet fixed. We are still talking about 5,000 that collapses here after every other day. There are basic things. People are hungry. How many health institutions are working fine in this country? Education sector. There are more basic things that we can do than doing coastal whatever. I'm not saying it, but there are times you can do what do you say, doing the wrong thing at the wrong, doing the right thing at the wrong time. It's good to have coastal projects every part of the country. Good, but then let us set our priorities right. That's the way I look at it. And then Obasanjo is now talking about the corruption aspect of it. He has the numbers. He's been in office, and he has the history of that project. He's talking about corruption that is in it. So is that how to do reform? Do something with corruption? So I don't know. There's no project that is bad though, but you look at the quantum of finances you have, you look at the issues you have in the country, the problems, and set your priorities right. I think that that project is driven more by those involved in the execution of the project. I think it is more driven by who are doing it, what are coming to them, are coming to those who gave it to them. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Lawrence Ibenyenwa for his inputs and insights into the newspaper headlines and reviews this morning. Thank you once again. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're back shortly after this, so stay with us.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.